Pamatet.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Talking to the Doll Benfica Podcast. Happy New Year, everybody. A Merry Christmas. I know that we haven't been here for a week now. Last time we were here 2 weeks ago. So we wanted to wish everybody a Happy New Year, and I hope you had a Merry Christmas, and I hope that all your resolutions are set in place, and I hope that one of them is at least the Penta, wishing for the Penta. With me tonight, Cristiano Oliveira da Silva Ferreira Ramos.
Costa, Santos, Aveiro. Which else is out there? Missing a couple.
Steve Santos is here also. Steve Santos, Oliveira, Carneiro, Capello, Rego.
No, I just have one middle name and it's quite uncommon. That's it.
What's your middle name?
Ingeja.
Ingeja?
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like something you would tell a girl to when she's going down on you. Ingeja.
My mom would love that. She would absolutely love that. But thanks. Thanks.
Anyway,
it's wonderful.
It takes courage to admit that.
Yeah, that was good. And David de Oliveira dos Santos Ramalho Coentrão is also with us from Toronto.
Yeah, something like that.
The big cilantro.
Anyway, on episode 266, which is tonight, we're recording this on the eve of Benfica's derby game against Sporting tomorrow at Estádio José Alvalade. We were going to be talking about that, previewing that game, but before we do, we're going to look back at the two Taça da Liga games, which were played while we were on a small vacation against Portimonense at first, and then Setúbal, a game that really didn't count for anything, but that Benfica still had to play. So here we are. I'm glad that everybody made it to the new year, Cristiano. Always good to see you. I haven't seen you in a little bit, but it's good to see you. Anyway, let's get into the games. Benfica played Portimonense with everything still played for the Taça da Liga. And after being up 2-0 at the half, the team just fell asleep. Why are you looking at me like that?
Because either you're crazy or I'm crazy. Or I just misheard you.
What's that?
You said the game tomorrow is Estádio José Alvalade, isn't it?
No, Deluge.
Oh, then I don't know what I'm talking about. Forget it.
Wait, maybe I did say it.
I thought you said Alvalade. That's why.
No, it's at Deluge.
I know, but I thought you said whatever. Just move on. Keep moving.
Anyway, Benfica played Portimonense, as I mentioned, and I'm not going to spend too much time. Well, we're not going to spend too much time talking about this game. I'll just say that Benfica was up at 2-0 into the half. Came out of the halftime talk from Vitória, allowed a goal in the 47th minute, and then let Portimonense get back in the game and tie the game late in the game. And that was our hopes for continuing the Taça da Liga. It was going to be hard. I think that Braga had to win. There was a concoction, some kind of mathematical equation that needed to be put together and come out perfect for Benfica. I saw as soon as Benfica tied this game against Portimonense, I knew there was going to be no chance. So now, Benfica, it was then played Vitória Setúbal, which they really hadn't much to play. Some of the guys that don't play a lot did play, and I'll give you the lineup in a little bit. But it
essentially became a friendly once we tied Portimonense and Vitória Setúbal beat Sporting Braga. Basically became just a glorified exhibition for the last game of the group stage. For
I don't want to go right into the negative, but this is the first.
There's not many positives.
This is the first time in the team's history that Benfica is out of all competitions but the championship before New Year's Eve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, dude, just keep going because I'm gonna be all negative. So just. I mean, I know you're trying to get something out of me, but
no, I'm not trying to get on.
There's obviously nothing that I could say that's gonna spin it in a positive way. I mean, I guess the only good thing about this is that we are still mathematically or 3 points behind come to Sporting game. I guess a lot, even though win or lose, it won't dictate what's going to happen for the rest of the season, but at least you're still in it. But yeah, I mean, we've talked about it here on the podcast over and over. It's been just an atrocious, first 4 or 5 months of the season.
Yeah, we haven't played well, but we're still in contention. So that's the argument that a lot of people will have. And look, I'll go on the record and I'll speak to everyone that's listening and watching us that if there's ever a time where the team needs you, needs your support, needs your constructive criticism, because if you don't criticize, if you don't point out things that you're seeing wrong, the things that don't really not caem bem, the things that really, they don't feel good, they don't give you a good vibe. There's nothing wrong with pointing that out, but I think that at this time and the way things have been going in the past few days, few weeks, where you see this concerted effort to come out with news in the media that incriminate Benfica on a lot of things, that raise suspicion on Benfica on a lot of things, corruption, cheating, buying players so they lose, so on and so forth. This is the time right now where all the two others clubs are on 100% force to really divide the fan base, to divide all of us Benfiquistas. This is a time where you need to rally around the team. You need to support the team. You need to be critical, yet a constructive criticism, if you will. And this is the time right now that the team needs us the most.
The reality is that as things stand right now, currently, off the field it's ugly, very ugly, whatever is going on, whether you believe it or you don't believe it. And, we will find out sooner or later. But unfortunately, what's going on in the field isn't much prettier than what's going on out, off the field. So it's kind of hard to get your spirits up. And you're right, you have to support your club. At the same time, it's okay. This is why we host a podcast. This is why we're here, which is to give you our thoughts, sometimes positive, sometimes negative. But it's just the reality of things.
And it's all our opinions, and opinions are really like buttholes. Everybody has one, and discussing opinions is sometimes you really get nowhere by discussing opinions. We're privileged that people actually take the time to come and listen to us, that value our opinion. We take criticism well. We know when guys are against us. We know when guys are for us, and we appreciate all the opinions, and we understand that everybody has one. But if there's ever a time that you need to rally behind the team and you need to support the team, regardless of what the result is tomorrow, this is the time, because all the other outside factors, they're all against us. And the thing that's going on, this whole thing in the media from the start of the season has been with the intent to divide Benfica supporters, Benfica Nation. We all know that when Benfica starts rolling and the red wave starts going, that it's very hard to stop. So right now, there is a deliberate attempt to split up the fan base. Of course, as Cristiano mentioned, the fact that we haven't been playing all that great, that the quality and bad quality is there and the inconsistencies are there, doesn't help to give the fan base a warm feeling. But I think at this point, you really got to throw all of that away, and you got to really think of what the team has accomplished in these years, and you got to think and feel that it's possible that the team could get to that penta. While we're still mathematically in there, you got to hold out that hope, and you got to hope that the team is going to do what they have never done, which is get the penta. And Steve, I know that you don't really pay attention to a lot of this noise that's around the field, but something that came out not too long ago, it was leaked. The players' salaries was leaked on the media. How do you, whether it's true or not, and I guess the players will know that if it's true or not because they get their pay stubs every day. But how do you think something like that? Do you think these guys are immune to the stuff that they see in the media?
No, there's no way that they're completely immune to it, especially something like that. My only thing is, I know at the common workplace, you don't discuss salaries within one another that much, just because it's frowned upon from your employers and brings down morale, et cetera, et cetera. But is it that quiet in professional football as well, you believe? Like, no one knows what the other guy's making, how much money he's on? I don't know. That's the part that I wasn't really sure. There was some.
They know, Steve. They know.
I think they know too.
That's how their agents negotiate based. They have to know, and so You know.
Yeah, I mean,
whether or not they know like 100% exactly, like the exact figures or not, they must have a good idea. But there was some alarming stuff there. I mean, Zivkovic, I think, is on one of the higher salaries already.
190 something a week or a month or something like that. Yeah, 100.
It's one of the higher salaries. One of the higher salaries in the squad, and is going to be astronomically high if he's still at the team within like 2 or 3 years. And you see that, and the kid never plays, and it's just like something. The Zivkovic situation, just the more and more you find out, the more and more you see, is just baffling.
What baffles me about the Zivkovic situation, Steve, is that he's on 196 or whatever it is, right? And he got like a $4 million bonus or euro bonus to sign. But each year, it gets a kicker like 20%.
Yeah.
That's what like. And I guess they anticipated what we all anticipated. They thought this kid was going to, one, take the next step and be a great player, and two, he wasn't going to be at Benfica that much. So they don't care what they give him in year 5 because they didn't plan on him being there that long because they intended on selling him if all things worked out.
But here's the thing, right? So if he does in fact have those clauses where every year he gets a percentage raise, it would be with Benfica's best interest that this kid plays as many games as he can't possibly play, because then he's on a shop window and there's a possibility that somebody's going to lift that burden off Benfica's back.
Yeah, but in the same context, you can't play football, or you can't coach a football team based on. I'm sure you always get a little bit of extra pressure, but you can't play with financial only incentives. You have to be playing with your best 11, the 11 that understand what you want to do out there, the 11 who will die for the shirt, like you like to say. That's what you have to play with. But
you can't.
The whole Zivkovic thing, because of the amount of talent that the kid has been baffling since day one, how little he's played. But
Steve,
that's the thing that came from the salary thing was the Zivkovic for me.
How many times do we hear that there's influences from big name sponsors, especially shoe sponsors, that there's a pressure on the club to make the player more visible, whether it's by playing, whether it's making a bench, whether it's a feature on the website, just because the player wears that type of shoe. We've heard of that type of types of pressures, especially in World Cups and stuff like that.
Hey, Steve, you say
and player agents as well. I mean, they always have a huge push. So there's always extra to the decision, I think, on who plays or who shows up in the starting or in the roster for each match. There's always something more out there, but I don't know. Zivkovic for me has always been a bit of a mystery.
All right, Steve, you say to you it's a mystery how high Zivkovic's salary is, right? Weren't you surprised as well to find out that Salvio, along with Luizão, I'm not really surprised. The dude's been the senior guy on the squad. He's the captain. He's been there
Salvio has too.
But
Salvio's been around for a long time, and when we bought him, he was one of our most expensive players.
He left, and then he came back.
He was with us on loan, wasn't it? And then we bought him off. Yeah. And when we bought him, it was like a star signing. So when we went and got him, I figured we gave him good terms because we thought highly of him.
See, and he plays a lot. I guess I'm more surprised to find out that Jonas is not making more.
Yeah.
Than Salvio. I mean, you want to tell me Luizão, that's fine.
Same. Jonas probably has crazy bonuses. Because he's a forward. Forwards are always carry goal
scoring
bonuses, appearances bonus, assist bonuses.
About Jonas in these leagues.
Yeah, well, here's another thing.
Yeah.
Here's another thing.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we found out that Zivkovic makes more money than Jonas. That's what we found out. If those rumors are true.
But did they give you a figure for Jonas?
No, I didn't get one.
I think I only saw, if I remember right, I remember seeing Pizzi, Luizão, Salvio, Zivkovic.
I think I do remember Jonas also.
I'm not, because now I can't get onto it, obviously, because my computer is down.
Anyway.
But I don't remember anyone else's.
I don't want to get too crazy off the topic. And as I mentioned, Steven, I think I don't even remember what your answer was. It has to affect the players, right? Something like this, regardless of whether it's true or not. Do you think the players are that isolated?
No one wants their business spread out like that if it's not intended to be. Absolutely not.
in the sports world,
how much it causes problems between each other is what I wonder. But I think that they know more or less what everyone else has signed up on.
in the sports world is pretty common. Remember, guys, that's their ego. That's how they weigh their egos against other players. Remember, it's a competitive business. You look at a guy like Ronaldo, he always constantly wants to be the highest paid player in the world. These guys know exactly what everyone else on the roster is getting paid. Their agents are constantly reminding them and reminding the clubs when negotiating, you got to give me whether it's 10% more because I produce more than Alfredo. Why is Alfredo? Trust me, these things, everyone knows whether the players whether players pay attention to it or not, or really want to sit there and soak over it or not, that's on them. But majority of what's going on behind the scenes as far as contracts, I like to think every single player knows what's going on, what are the guys around them are making, because it's a competitive business. To them, they want to know if they're performing like a guy that's getting, like a Zivkovic, for example, who's getting one of the highest paid players on the team, and I'm starting and I'm playing 2,000 minutes more than he is. Why the hell aren't I getting as much money as this guy? That's going to be something at the end of the year they're going to be talking about, their agents are going to be talking about. So those things to me are very common in the sports world.
And Dave threw up a stat here that there's some guys that on 0-0 their salary is published, obviously, because of the CMVM. I think they have to let the CMVM know how much they bought them for, and I don't know if they tell them how much they're going to be paying them. But there's some guys that on 0-0 will have their salary on there, so you could look at. Anyway, to put a bow on this Taça de Liga, so we could move on. First time Benfica has been eliminated in the group stages of Taça de Liga. 9 times previously have made it through the group stages. Thanks to Dave for that.
And won 7, right?
Yeah,
6 or
Benfica
7.
have won 7.
Yeah.
They lost one to Setúbal, if I'm not mistaken. Moreirense. And then in a Taça de Portugal, never has Benfica been eliminated from both Taça de Portugal and Taça de Liga by the end of the calendar year. I think I already mentioned that. Sorry. Through 27 matches in all competitions this season, Benfica's winning percentage is 51.9%. Hasn't been this low since 08-09, 51.2 when Kike Flores coached. Yeah, those are miserable times when Kike Flores coached. Thanks, Dave, for that stat. Since November 18th, Benfica has not been able to win 2 consecutive matches. Steve, here's the thing, right? So Benfica plays a good game against Tondela, comes back against Portimonense, and it's like night and day. This Jekyll and Hyde that Benfica has been doing all season, it's something that if you continue this way with this inconsistency, if there's anything that you could point out to a team that at the end of the season is on a podium holding the trophy, is being consistent throughout the season. And I think that Benfica this season has been too inconsistent for us to even think that things are going to change.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things. I mean, we've been in our previous 2 years that where we won the championship. What won us the championship really was that we were consistently just good enough to win. Where this year it's been consistently poor. Really, we've played very few matches where we've played well. The fact that we've played 2 matches in the not too long ago versus Rio Ave and Portimonense against teams that don't have the payroll we do, if we're going to talk about pay, don't have the talented players that we do, but we looked like we're on even playing ground with these teams. And that is something that you would have to worry about. The good thing is they were both cup competitions, and the one competition or that we're still in is that we're still within fighting distance is the league, and we can take that away from it. But it doesn't bode well if you're playing against teams that are of a weaker standard, but you cannot impose yourself. You cannot show that you are better than them. Or if you do show that you're better than them, you can't show that you're better than them for 90 minutes, which
that's a problem in itself.
In the Portimonense game, at least, it is a problem in itself. It might show you that is this team fit? Are the substitutes that you're making adequate? Is the drop in quality too high? It's there's a lot of questions that are out there. The good thing is that if you're going to preview the next match, it's the type of match that normally form doesn't matter too much. The added value and weight and all the emotional side of these types of matches all have a huge part to play.
Yeah, so let's get into the match. Benfica will play Sporting, as I mentioned, this coming Wednesday, which is tomorrow as we record this, 9:30. Late game. I think that all the other teams are playing before hand, but 9:30 on a Wednesday night. There's probably not going to be a lot of, I don't know how many people are on vacation in Portugal, but probably not going to be a lot of people traveling from afar to go watch this game. We know that it's usually a sellout game, but how many people are coming from further up north than Leiria or Aveiro? Yeah. Something like that.
Aveiro is still
tough.
Aveiro is still a trek.
2 hours?
It's about 2 hours, man.
Yeah. So how many people? I believe I haven't seen anything, but Benfica is expecting a good turnout, but it hasn't been yet announced that it's a sold out game, and I guess that really plays into a midweek game. Nevertheless, let's talk about what's been going on. But Sporting is in second place, tied with Porto. Benfica is just 3 points behind. Benfica, throughout Benfica's history, I think this would be the 301st game that the two teams have played officially. 130 wins for Benfica, 62 draws and 108 losses. Last 10, 4 wins, 3 draws and 3 losses. Last 5 at home, 3 wins, 1 loss and 1 draw. And last season, 1-2-1 at home with goals from Salvio and Jimenez. So, Steve, as you mentioned, this is the type of game Derby deserves, needs no introduction. This is actually the type of game that coaches love throughout the week, because this is something that the coach doesn't really have to prepare or motivate the players for. A game of this magnitude, there's always going to be a level of motivation that the players will have, because they know the magnitude of the game, and this is something that you don't have to do. Cristiano, is it true? Do you believe that it doesn't really matter how each of the teams arrive at this point in time in the game, whether one is doing better or the other one not so good? Do you still believe that it's a 50-50 type of deal?
When it comes to derbies, man, majority of these games comes down to raza, comes down to who wants it more. We've seen in years past where Benfica was coming in rolling. Look at a couple of seasons ago, Benfica playing a game against Porto. I know it wasn't a derby, it was a clásico, but still, Benfica was playing terrific football, ahead of Porto by 5 points, I believe it was at the time. And Porto was struggling a bit, and we all said it predicted an easy win for Benfica. And Porto comes in there, and these rivalry games, man, you never know what to expect. And it comes down to, again, I repeat it, who wants it more?
Yeah.
Simple.
What about when people say it comes down to the details? Is it when teams are more evenly matched, and that's when it comes down to details?
Well, that's more of my belief than what Chris said. I always think that the team that's better prepared is always closer to victory. Sadly, you'll know who I think is probably better prepared for this match.
But Steve, but then that goes against what you just that goes against what you just said, because I mean, if you believe in that, you believe that Sporting was better prepared to come into the lose last year and pick up the W, and Benfica came away with a 2-1 victory, which not a lot of people expected.
Exactly, but that is against the norm, and my thought process
because it was a derby.
My thought process is always opposite of that. My thought process is that the person who is better prepared with better players has a better chance of winning. Yes, in these types of games, that gets a little bit outweighed by the emotional aspects and who wants it more, like you say. But I will always sway into the side that says the team with better players and who are better prepared is going to be the favorite for this type of match. The bookies obviously don't agree with me. If you look at that, I think Benfica's slightly edging Sporting for the victory in this match. I think I saw 41% or something like that. And it was like 20 something for a tie and 30 something for Sporting. But the form book or not, Sporting are coming in a better moment than we are. But we'll have to try to throw that away and see if we can make it count.
Well, here's the counter argument on that, Steve. Benfica 7-0 at home for the league so far this year. 22 goals scored, 3 goals allowed. It's the second best attack versus the second best defense for this matchup. But Benfica hasn't lost a game at home yet. Of course, I don't know how many big games Benfica has played so far. As far as they played this at Estádio do Dragão, and they also played in. They played Braga, so they've beaten Braga at home.
That was the second game of the year.
That was early in the season,
yeah. First or second game, first game of the year, I think.
First game at home for sure.
Yeah, which we're about to turn. We got 2 more games left in the first round, and we'll turn that. But there's the home team. I think that in this case, and regardless how evenly matched the two teams are, I think the home team always have to have a little bit of an edge.
I've just made the mistake way too many times over the years of thinking of the team that's like, again, Steve's 100% correct. I'm not disagreeing with what he's saying. It's just when it comes to derbies, I made the mistake of looking at the roster, looking at the forms. Oh, the better team, the better players, and then the team that's not supposed to compete with the other team because, especially with big teams, we're not talking about a derby no Benfica Belenenses. We're talking about Sporting Benfica, teams like that. We're looking at a game last week in AC Milan against Inter Milan. Who AC Milan, look at their form. Look at they don't have better players than Inter. They didn't belong on the field with it, and they pulled off the shocking win.
Yeah.
So because of that derby, because of that extra emotion, I think I made that mistake in years past of just looking at the roster and looking at all those small little details like Steve mentions, which is correct. I'm not saying he's wrong. But when it comes to derbies, man, these guys know that everyone in their city, everyone around their houses, every time they go into the supermarket, to the pharmacy, to the gas station, everyone's watching this game. And these guys are going to want to perform because they play, especially in a league like the Portuguese league, they play for 4 or 5 games a year. And this is one of them. These guys want to show up and perform well. None of these guys wants to lose to their hometown rival.
Yeah. Cristiano, do you think that Rui Vitória will find a way to extra motivate the players with all the noise that's around the team? Do you think that he will instill an attitude in a team where it's us against the world? Because right now it does seem like the whole world is against Benfica.
See, going back to the rivalry thing, I think in a game like this, there is no motivation. You don't need to be motivated. If you're not motivated on your own for a game like this, you don't belong in my locker room.
If you need to pull a little bit extra.
That's maybe where the halftime speech comes into effect. And we've seen in the last couple of weeks that halftime speech has not gone according to plan. I mean, I just think that the guys will be ready to play, I think, on both sides. And it's going to come down to little details on a set piece or something like that that might give away the game, that might give away the one opportunity to put the ball in the back of the net and you lose on a 1-0 scoreline. But that being said, the guys, man, everybody has been looking forward to this game for God knows how long now. When the schedule comes out, both the Benfica and the Sporting players, they go and they circle these dates out on their calendars. They make sure all their family and their friends are in town for these games. Again, it's not going to have to take much motivation on the coach's part for a game like this tomorrow.
No, but I was just thinking that maybe Rui Vitória could use a little bit of what's going on and try to motivate the players a little extra, give them a little fire.
I see what you're saying, but I think in an instance like this, man, I think because of so much crap that's out there, right? Whether you believe it or not, and again, I said it before, we'll find out one of these days. We'll find the truth. The truth will come out, and we'll find out. But I think you want to try to get that out of your locker room. You don't want none of that negativity to creep into your players, to creep into your locker room. I think I don't know about the us against the world mentality, but just look, let's focus on the game. This is a big game. Let's worry about the task at hand. We're 3 points away from first place. We could, separate ourselves from our hometown rivals. Just keep everything, directed into tomorrow's game. Forget about the noise on the outside. And I think if I was him, that's exactly what I would do. There's no point in bringing up all the crap that's going on outside because, like you've mentioned, it's just You don't even know who's putting it out there. So to me, it's like don't even talk about it.
Well, you wouldn't be separating yourselves. You'd be kind of.
Here's the thing.
Oh yeah, you're right, 100%. You're pulling.
But I mean,
exactly.
but still, you would
3 points
have
behind.
would have the head-to-head advantage, where the two teams finished equal in points at the end of the season. The first head-to-head, the first tiebreaker is the head-to-head. So if you could beat Sporting, which is when you're direct rivals at home, that means that you will have the advantage until you play at the Alvalade. So, Steve, what do you think? What do you think some of the keys are for this game for Vitoria's men?
Well, just to go back quickly on the topic that you were stating, if Rui Vitória is mentioning it in press conferences, I'm sure he's not avoiding it in the locker room. I'm sure he's going to try to use it as a motivational tool to try to bring the players to the extra level, like you mentioned. Yeah. In terms of what's going to happen on the pitch and the 11v11, it's hard to explain because Benfica have to go out and be proactive and go on the front foot because they're at home. They got to appease their fans. They got to play in a certain way. My worry is that may play into what Sporting wants us to do. The other thing is Sporting may be in a moment of form and Jorge Jesus knowing our team fairly well, the players that we have fairly well, may feel confident and want to try to approach the game in a way where they're going to be dominant. They're going to press from the front. They're going to try to create a lot of chances early on and really try to bury us. And that may actually play into our favor because if they do not, we can try to catch them on a counter where they'll be defending with less players and it might work out better for our advantage. Their style of play is well known. I mean, he hasn't really changed the way he plays the way his teams play from Benfica to Sporting. Fullbacks are going to press high. He's going to expect William to be a huge part in the build-up phase as well as Mathieu. The player that I'm not that familiar with and I'm not sure how good he is or isn't is Acuna. But with Coentrão behind him attacking against Andre Almeida, I don't know. That might be a bit of a point of weakness for them to go after. But in the same context, I think their Italian right back does not look that strong defending. Piccini, I think his name is. Yeah. We might be able to attack a little bit more on that side where Krovinovic and Grimaldo will definitely hide out.
Not play, I mean, I was going to wait for you to finish. We know we're definitely having Luis.
I saw that. He's a question mark, but I think if he wasn't fit, he wouldn't be in the 20. My hunch. Maybe they're waiting for a game time decision, like you said. But
there's rumors of him leaving, right?
I saw that.
He's not leaving until the summer.
I don't know.
That's what I heard.
Okay, I thought it would be now. To me,
it's 30 million. That's all I know for Napoli.
Yeah,
30 million in the summer.
Calling them up to make it look like, look, man, we're not unless we get a little more. It could be negotiated. We'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens tomorrow. With that.
I hope he plays.
I do too. I just wanted to point that out that he's a question mark, and we know for sure.
Yeah, but he's a question mark due to injury. I don't think there's any extra curricular factors at play.
Sadly, he's always a question mark due to injury. But that's their weak side of the defense for me is that Piccini guy. For me, I don't think Battaglia is that good. The more he sees of the ball, the more he will cough it up. William and Fernandes are really the creative forces on the team. Bas Dost is a clinical goal scorer.
Did you say William is a creative force, dude?
Gelson
yes, he is.
Gelson will be scary.
Gelson versus Grimaldo is... Yeah, if it's Eliseo, that's scary.
Grimaldo, that's not at 100%.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly.
But yes, William, a creative force as in he's part of every build-up phase. Everything good that Sporting does usually comes from his feet. So you don't tend to agree with me on this, but he is an integral part.
He's crucial in a Portuguese league. He's crucial. He's crucial for the Sporting club. Like you said, the first outlet pass a lot of times comes off his feet. He's the one that starts it up. I agree. Like I don't think him leaving Portugal might not be the best thing for him, but in a Portuguese league, he's a tremendous.
He's top dog. He's top dog in Portuguese league.
Absolutely.
All right, so we'll see. Then does it?
Gelson is scary. Scary. I mean, you're not gonna have Luizão. Obviously, you don't know if it's gonna be Lisandro or Jardel.
I hope it's Jardel.
Lisandro or Ruben Dias?
I think Ruben Dias is gonna play.
Well, Ruben Dias is gonna play, so I think it's gonna
be Jardel then.
Well, we don't know. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. We're discussing it here, right on the podcast.
No, let's go.
So I'm discussing it.
Let's go
discussing every option, whether it's Jardel or Lisandro. To me, still, look, Jardel hasn't been the same physical specimen he was a couple seasons ago. Okay, he's played better of late, but he's not the same player he was a couple of years ago. When you got a guy like Prudence, who's squeaky, who could get in between defenders, who could get in between passing lanes, create on his own, lay off a pass to a Bastos, it's scary. Then you got Gelson coming from the other side. It just look, man, they have options. They have options, and right now Benfica's not hitting on all cylinders.
What are your keys to this game?
Easy, bro. Very simple. Make it very score more than the opposite team, and that's the key, bro. That's it.
Oh, what about the other key? Yeah, it's got to be more than one key.
No, I think Benfica has to come out and play their football. But again, we don't know what Benfica we're going to get. I think the one thing you talked about inconsistencies before, and I'll tell you, the one thing Benfica has been consistent of this season is at being inconsistent.
Yep.
And that's the thing. You don't know what kind of team you're going to see tomorrow. We saw a game like spoke with the Porto. I'm not going to sit here and talk about the games against the Tondelas and the Vitória Setúbals and the Portimonense, even though they look bad against those teams. I'm talking about the big games, okay? The few big games they got slapped around. They go into Estádio do Dragão. They play okay for the first 15, 20 minutes, then kind of get run out of the field. You guys disagree with me on that, but to me, when you don't touch the ball, when you don't string together 3 or 4 passes consecutively, to me, you're getting outplayed.
Yeah.
So if Benfica is not able to keep the ball tomorrow against Sporting, we know JJ likes to keep the ball. It depends on whether he's going to give it up to them to come on a counter for us, because against us, I should say, because we've seen them do that a lot of times, give the opposition a ball and then counter, because they definitely have the wingers and they have the playmakers that could play that style of football. But I think they need to keep the ball away from Sporting. We need Pizzi to get involved like the old Pizzi. I think Pizzi is crucial tomorrow. He needs to be involved. He needs to have the ball. And one thing I think that's really key in this game is, man, look, we need to get Jonas off the schneid. You know what I mean? I know he scored a goal against Porto on a PK, but he hasn't scored a goal in
he's never scored against
Sporting. I know, in Sporting in Porto in regular play without, with the occasion of that one PK. I think it's crucial to get him the ball. Pizzi needs to show up. Don't show up against these Tondelas and then go missing in these big games. And I know he's going to have tomorrow. He's going to have Bataglia. He's going to have Acuna. He's going to have William guys looking after him. Throughout most of the game, but Krovinovic needs to be involved. It's about that 4-3-3. Are they going to go with a 4-3-3, a 4-4-2? There's just so many unknowns right now because Benfica has not been consistent at anything this season that we can't really sit here and predict. I think we'll be able to nail down the starting lineup, but that's about it.
There's a little bit of a trend. 2 poor games and 1 very good game.
Yeah, against
throughout the season.
Against Belenenses. Against
Tondela?
Against Estoril. Yeah, I mean, the hell I look
now
good against those guys.
Portimonense, we played bad. We played Setúbal bad.
But now when it's supposed to be a good game, we're not playing Tondela.
Well, let's see.
Well, I know for a fact we're not playing Tondela.
No, we're not playing Tondela, but let's see if we play the same style of game as we played against Tondela. Look, for me, I think that there's a lot of individual matchups going on a field that we need to pay attention. One of them is obviously Gelson versus Grimaldo, and as already mentioned here, Grimaldo not 100%, coming off an injury to the point that he's doubtful, that he wouldn't say for sure that he's going to start tomorrow, and Rui Vitória's presser I'm talking about. I think that midfield is going to be key with Podence dropping in and Bruno Fernandes being the creator that he is. We're going to need, as Cristiano mentioned, more from Pizzi, especially defensively. I don't know how much defensive work Krovinovic can do, but if he can't do the defensive work... I won't be
surprised tomorrow if he puts in Samaris and Feja.
Não, pá, estás maluco, man. Mata-te, caralho.
I'm just letting you know. Tá bem, mata-te. A gente fala amanhã, então.
Estás maluco, man.
All right.
Fucking Samaris.
Because you haven't seen David Luiz play a left back,
and Felipe Augusto. That was JJ years, bro.
I'm just saying. We've seen stranger things.
Nothing wrong against Samaris, man. And Paracalo. Parakalo is thank you, right? In Greek.
I don't know Greek, man.
Congratulations for your newborn.
Trying to say thank you or congratulations?
Parakalo, congratulations, and he could tell me thank you.
Thank you for your newborn. Appreciate you. Thank you for gracing
Hopefully, be born a Benfiquista like Savio's kid. Anyway. I think that there's a few matchups that need to be paid attention. The other thing is that Benfica has been very susceptible to dead ball situations, giving up goals in dead ball situations. So that's
especially with no Luizão.
So, yeah, that's another thing that we need to keep an eye on for me as far as a key. But the individual matchups, dead ball situations, and look, guys like Pizzi has to show up. Regardless, Pizzi is the guy that needs to show up.
If Pizzi has a bad game, we don't have a very good chance of getting a good result.
Yeah,
that's really.
Keaton Parks hasn't been called up. He was left out of the roster this time.
It's okay. He's still young. He's coming.
Yeah. So we'll João Carvalho is in there, but he's part of the 20 guys. So is Eliseu.
Exactly.
So
he's gonna be in the stands.
Yeah, there's a couple guys that are going to sit in the stands for sure. Cristiano, you want to risk a starting 11 prediction? I think we all know what the starting 11 is, but I'll let you do it, Cristiano. Varela. Almeida.
Ruben Dias. Jardel. Eliseu.
Epa, foda-se.
I hope you're wrong.
Veja. Samaris. Pizzi. Servi. Salvio. Jonas.
Ooh.
Change 2 players, dude. Ooh.
No,
2 players, that's it.
But it shows your hand when you play Samaris instead of Krovinovic.
Estás maluco a jogar em casa à defesa, man. Estás maluco, man.
I don't think I hope he doesn't. One way or the other. I think Samaris.
O ano passado ele não começou o Danilo. Didn't he play Danilo?
Yeah.
At home?
Yeah, but we were in front in the championship.
I think he came on as a substitute anyway.
I can't remember, but it was still rare. It was a rare appearance for him.
Now you're playing at home. You're 3 points behind. You gotta go.
My 11 is just you just switch Eliseu for Grimaldo and Samaris for Krovinovic. Their 11 was probably pretty easy to choose. Patricio, the Piccini, Coates, Matteo, Coentrão, William, Batalha, Acuna, Gelson. Here's the thing where you guys keep saying Podence. I don't think he starts Podence in this game. I think it's going to be Bruno Fernandes.
Maybe he doesn't start Batalha.
Yeah, I don't think he's that gutsy. If he doesn't start Batalha and he starts Bruno Fernandes and Podence, you know what he's going after. And he feels super confident. But I don't think he's that gutsy. I think he's that cocky.
He's probably He's gonna play with Benfica's poor form.
Well, we'll see. My guess is the one I said was Bas Dost up front. Whether he really pushes the envelope and gets rid of his runner in midfield and puts a ball player like Bruno Fernandes and Podence behind Bas Dost, that's a real sign of confidence and a sign that he's going to want to possess the ball and really come at us. So that we'll see. But only up until an hour before game time, we'll be able to figure that one out.
Yeah, I'm with you on the starting 11. Dave, you got a starting 11 you think Benfica is going to start with?
Everybody like Cristiano except for Eliseu. I have a feeling that we're going to see Samaris play tomorrow. You watch. I don't want it, but I have a feeling that he's going to shake it up and put him in there.
Hey, why don't you just say Felipe Augusto? Be a little
because he wasn't called. Thank God.
That's the truth. I just think that Rui Vitória is. I know you guys are saying, and I know the logic behind it. I just think that Rui Vitória is going to go with the best 11, and that's going.
I remember sitting here doing the same exact thing for Football Club do Porto game, and I forgot. And I said someone was going to start. I forgot. I'm being serious, but I remember being correct, looking at the sheet and like. And I think you even mentioned it through the Benfica on the Twitter account, like as Cristiano called. And I remember I was sitting here disputing whether I forget who it was now.
With Varela, was it not?
I think it was.
Might have been somebody. I remember.
I did say Varela was going to.
No,
start.
Then I didn't say it was Varela. Did I say it was Varela? I said somebody.
I don't know.
But I just remember.
You have to go back in the tweets and figure it out. It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I think Sporting possesses the players that have the ability to break a game at any second, and you can't go in there with Feja alone in the midfield with Bruno Fernandes and William Carvalho that could spring a pass, and whether Prudence starts in place of Batali, which, I mean, Steve, if he thinks Benfica is just going to sit back, there's no point in having Batali. I mean, just bring in, Prudence, another option up top. That's good. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just giving you another option.
Here's my thing. I think he knows that everything that we could do was going to have to come from Pizzi or Krovinovic. He's going to put a runner in there to close down the spaces on them. I don't see him.
I can see him doing that. I can see him doing that.
That's what I think.
I can see him doing that. He always did that. He'll come out with some crazy lineups, and in the second half he tightens it up. We've seen him do that plenty of times.
I think a tie away from home is probably a better result for him than you. Yeah. He's going to start with a more secure. For me, he starts somewhere a little bit more secure and sees what the game what the game gives him. And I hate to think that Rui Vitória is going to do the same with Samaris and start with a more secure formation or conservative set of players, and then try to change the game later when it's hopefully still tied and the game breaks up a bit. Maybe you can bring Krovinovic when there's more space.
Bro,
it's possible. It's very possible. But
sitting here knowing JJ as well as we do, I would not be surprised if my man's there, toothpick in his mouth, like
Chicla.
Benfica nem contra o Setúbal e pro Timonense consegue. Contra a gente. Amanhã que os
I'm sure he's thinking that. I'm sure he's thinking that. But he probably feels confident enough in the more conservative Battaglia that he will leave it that way just in case. But we'll see tomorrow.
Well, maybe because he doesn't want the game to get away from him in the first 25 minutes. Maybe that's his. No. Look, I'm not in the guy's head, and I don't want to be in his head. Because
if I had his head, I'd be pretty rich.
Who knows what goes on there? But the fact of the matter is that Rui Vitória was on his presser, and he was asked about all the noise around the team and this shit, and he said that all these rumors that are being brought up, and especially the one about buying the players and so on and so forth. He says this is an attack on the heart of the Benfica fans, a direct attack. So he's obviously trying to rally the fans for this game. To me, and he was asked what kind of effect or scar can this game leave, and if it's a determining game or not. And like I agree with him, there's still 18 games to be played after this one. Nothing is.
I gotta cut you off.
No, peraí, deixa acabar.
I love you, but what do you really that night? What do you think the guy's going to say? He's got to cover his ass. If we lose, we still got a long way to go.
But it's the truth.
But every coach is going to say that.
No, but there's still 18 games to play.
But every coach is going to say that.
If you go down, you're 6 down. It's not the end of the world.
Every coach. But that's what I'm saying. To sit here and mention what he said, like, dude, that I would say that, and I've never been a coach in my life. And he's going to cover his ass. Every coach, JJ is going to tell you tomorrow if they do win, dá 6 pontos, ainda falta muito. That's what every coach is going to tell you.
No, I understand, but you could have gone a different way.
Which way?
I don't know. You could have said that it'll be difficult. No, and I don't think anybody in their right mind is thinking that this is going to be a determining game that will push. Even though if Sporting beats Benfica, Benfica will be then 6 points from Sporting. Is very far from being over.
And
the tiebreaker.
Forget that. Let's not forget this part. Forget that part, but don't forget this one. Let's not forget. Only top 2 teams make it to Champions League next year, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. Benfica and somebody else.
I like that.
Anyway, Steve, anything else you want to add on to the game before we start wrapping things up here?
No, I think we hit most of the points. I just hope Jonas scores. If Jonas scores, that's like a key. I think if he scores finally against Sporting in a big match like this would be a huge omen. So
I just want to see
pray for that.
I want to see a packed Stade de Luz, and I want to see this team come out and play football the way we know that they could play at times. That's all I ask for.
Yeah. That's all you.
Stade de Luz.
To me, the biggest thing is that, look, present yourselves in the same image of the club that you represent with pride, with honor, put in the effort, leave everything on the field. And that's all I really ask, because football is an odd game, beautiful game. There's so many emotions that go into it. And look, yeah, there's better teams than others, but at any given point, the poor team can beat the good team, and so on and so forth. So you never know. The ball is, as my dad used to say, the ball is round, and everybody's got two legs just like you.
Yeah, but in the end, the Germans win.
Isso meu pai não diz.
No.
Não disse isso. But anyway, so that will be it. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow, 9:30 local time. If you're in the East Coast of the U.S., is it 9:30 or 9:45?
30.
I think it's 9:30, 4:30 our time.
If you're in the East Coast of the U.S., that's 4:30. West Coast for Mr. Mello.
Or 16:30.
3:30.
That don't know how to
No,
tell.
wait, 3:30. No,
4:30.
1:30 for Mr. Mello.
1:30 for California.
Oh,
That's right. And if you're in Toronto,
4:30.
4:30.
Anyway, after Sporting, and we like to look at the month that's ahead. After Sporting, we go to Moreirense on the 7th. A week later, we will go up to Braga of the first game of the second round of the championship. Then we host Chaves, and we travel to Belenenses right at the end of January. So that will be our January that's coming up. A couple more things before we go. I forgot last time we were on, but wanted to congratulate the Benfica team, that the roller hockey team that won the Intercontinental trophy for Benfica. Another one for the museum. And I know how much Cristiano loves the modalidades. I just wanted to mention that. Peggy did remind me, but I forgot all about it. The other thing is that it seems that Benfica, the web developer, or the guys that run the Benfica page, announced Vlaco Dimos, the goalie, the Greek goalie.
Oh, that guy.
For Benfica. He was at one point on the roster sheet. His name and the number 0 was on the player's roster, or the team roster, and then they took it down. But I think the Record has some pictures of that. So, but we already knew that he had been in Lisbon.
The only question mark is whether he's going to come
when
down,
he's going to join.
Winter window, or again in the summer window. And you know what? Since we're talking about windows, right? I touched on this a couple of weeks ago, and I said depois a gente vê, right? And I'm gonna go back to this. We hear Benfica goes through getting humiliated in the Champions League, and like I mentioned, and then this beautiful, news comes out. Benfica's gonna redo their whole roster. They're gonna spend $20 million, and now all you hear about is them linked with guys that are free and $200,000. Swedish guys and Croatian guys no one ever even heard of.
Australian guys.
There's no money. There's no money.
But Steve, that's
you're
fine.
not gonna sign anybody big.
That's fine, but like I mentioned weeks ago,
Yeah.
that was just a facade. The 20 million, that's the part that's getting.
Well, you don't know.
Well, I do know, because everyone they're being linked with is free. Or
Yeah.
200,000 guys in second division. Oh, guys, I'm Estrela on the second division.
You read too many newspapers, Cristiano.
Don't.
You probably read the wrong ones. You should be reading.
Based on what we know, there should be changes. There should be changes. We should be bringing in some people. We should be doing something.
Before we leave,
But,
Steve, I agree with you. But is the championship done?
No, and that's why you need to be based on.
Cup. I think that right now, what you go and do is you go and grab a left back.
Based on what you know,
If Grimaldo's not
We
leaving,
haven't-
what do you need left
He's
back?
leaving at the end of the year.
Oh, 'cause then
Get
you worry
somebody
about-
acclimated. You worried about it at August 31st. Because that's what you
we've not been consistent. We've been poor for the most part. We're not just automatically going to just start playing well and things are going to start going good unless some sort of magical switch hits.
You never know.
We need a goalkeeper. We need a right back. We need a CB. We need a left back. We need a defensive center mid to back up. Fez or possibly start. We need another
You could need a lot of things.
midfielder. We need another winger. We need another striker.
If it was up to you, we'd have a full new 11 and a new coach.
No, 11, no, because there's like 2 or 3 guys that could play. But yeah, I mean, we need a whole lot of everything.
No, for me, I think we got to do something.
Okay, Steve.
What you do is
we need another goalie? Yes or no? Yes.
You got it.
We don't even know if that guy can play. Takalab. We need a new right back. And even though you like Almeida, we need a right back. We need a new CB, right? We need a left back.
That's the position that I feel the most vulnerable at is center back.
We need another left back, right?
It would be nice.
Okay. We need another striker.
No, you don't, dude. You don't need another left back. You got Ribeiro. You got Yuri Ribeiro.
I see that guy play, and the only thing he did was in the 114th minute, he cleared the
ball.
You got
Yuri Ribeiro. You got the kid from the B team. He could do a better job than Eliseo, dude. Either one of those 2 guys could do a better job than Eliseo.
Just because he does it better doesn't mean it's Benfica quality.
Yeah, but Eliseo is not Benfica quality either.
Mas you need one that's going to play and start. You need a whole new team.
Any of those 2 guys that I just mentioned.
We need Numas.
Yuri Ribeiro.
The grass has been yellowish. We need a new guy to cut the grass.
Yuri Ribeiro and the kid from the B team would play over Eliseo any day.
If you look closely behind us, we need a new guy to do Coca-Cola sign because it's backwards. You see? For us.
No, it's only backwards for us.
Oh, so gente. I need glasses too.
I don't even think that's the.
That's not there anymore. I don't think.
Yeah, I think that's like Red Power or something.
We're sponsored by Coca-Cola.
Anyway,
but yeah, see, we need a whole new everything, bro.
For me, what you do is you clean up house.
You know,
you get rid of
They're working on that.
You get rid of Douglas.
You know what we don't.
They're getting rid of Hermes.
You get rid of Felipe Augusto.
He already went. You know what we don't need? A new roller hockey team.
Intercontinental champions, man.
I'm surprised you guys aren't wearing the t-shirts.
Me?
I didn't see no.
I ordered mine. It hasn't come yet.
What was the Marquês Pombal? Was it back?
No, they don't go to the Marquês Pombal. They go to Praça do Cabo. It's a smaller venue.
Praça do Cabo?
I just made that up on the spot.
Tá bem.
Anyway, I think they just need to clean house, get rid of some dead waste. And look,
does that include the coach?
Well, no.
You're still not convinced.
Here's what I think, right? You got to look at guys and you got to see this guy is not good enough. He's not going to be here next year. You got to get rid of him. And one of them is Felipe Augusto. And I might be biased in saying this.
The guy hasn't played in 2 months.
But give Keaton Parks a chance at number 8.
Agreed.
If you're going to give minutes to somebody,
that's some American bias.
It is maybe it's a little bit biased, Steve, and I apologize. But here's the thing: in a game against Stubble, that the kid could have played, he had been getting minutes. He goes and starts freaking Felipe Augusto.
I just like him because he reminds me I had blonde hair when I was young, so that's,
when you used to have hair.
I was short though. He's tall, but yeah, like that.
No, man. I think it's time that you start developing kids. Whatever.
How are you gonna develop kids and compete for the title?
You get rid of Felipe Augusto, guys that don't work. They've had their chances to go. Get rid of Rafa. Get rid of Felipe Augusto. Get rid of Goglish.
So you have, and I'm not arguing. I'm just stacking it up here. You have, in your opinion, you've watched enough of Felipe Augusto to give us an honest answer that you don't think he's Benfica quality.
No.
Right? Okay, fine. But yeah, you want to give his spot to a kid that you have no idea if he's even Benfica quality as well because you've never seen him play. And Keaton Parks.
Give him the same shots.
Or Yuri Ribeiro. Or I'm not. But look, but for some reason or not, they haven't played yet.
Why?
I don't know.
Because you got a bum in front of you.
Okay, maybe the coach. Maybe the coach thinks he's better. Maybe he is
better. How?
Better how?
What glasses is he wearing? Take them off.
I just told you. Do we need to replace the coach?
Why don't you just get rid of the coach then? Might fix everything.
Hey, Felipe Vieira's not getting rid of Rui Vitória, so you might as well forget that one.
I know.
If they don't win the Penta, he better be gone.
I don't think so, Chris.
He better be gone, dude.
It's not that I don't agree. Is I have my huge doubt that it's actually going to happen.
We went through that 11-year period where they call Vietnam, which was atrocious. Oh my God, we finished in 5th and stuff, and it wasn't even as embarrassing as it's been this year.
No, não digas isso, man. Estás maluco, man.
This year, bro, we lost 5-0 to freaking Basel, and
You're 3 points from first place.
we're like the worst team in the history of the Champions League, dude. The Portuguese League, we're the worst team ever.
We got eliminated by Rio Ave. We got eliminated by Setúbal. What's next? Anyway, you got to keep the faith. That's all I'm saying.
Keep the faith.
I understand.
That sounds like a Bon Jovi track or something. Anyway, I got to sign out because I'm about to lose you guys. My battery's about to die.
Hey, Steve, say goodnight to everybody.
Good night, everybody.
All right. Bye. Peace.
Ciao.
Anyway, well, we'll wrap this up. And Steve's not here. Steve, just a quick thing before you go.
Yeah.
And I know that you and I and Cristiano have spoken about this, but I just want to go publicly on record.
Executive decision.
Publicly on record.
As the host and creator of this podcast.
Dave, play the drum roll, bro.
As the host and creator of this podcast, and Cristiano as a co-host, and Steve as co-host, and Dave as the stats guy, I just wanted to publicly say and go on record that all this noise that's around, and Cristiano says where there's smoke, there's fire. I just want to say that if it is indeed proven that Benfica corrupted referees, that Benfica bought teams, that Benfica did any wrongdoings that doesn't fall within the sportsmanship rules of the game, I am personally shutting this podcast down until all the guilty parties have been removed from the club.
TBA until to be announced.
Yeah, and I know that both Cristiano and Steve agree, and so if it does in fact get proven that Benfica did anything wrong, we're shutting it down.
Yeah, but that's a story for another pod.
Yeah, but I wanted to publicly say that simply because of all the noise that's come out, and there's people out there that are convinced that Benfica has done something wrong. But anyway, Steve, bye.
Ciao.
Vai para sombra que o sol está quente.
I wish there was sun. That's all I could say right now. I wish there was sun.
I think that's
later, folks.
Later. That's all for us. Don't forget to subscribe via iTunes at Steve Santos 6 at 10CO10 at Benfica Podcast is where you can find us on Twitter. planetbenfica.co.uk are our friends over that run that great site. What else? We're on Facebook, and that's it.
I just wanted to give a shout out to our man Pedro Martins Peggy out in Australia. You know what I'm talking about. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
All right. Peace. Dave, it's good seeing you as always, man. Good job on the stats.
Yes. Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year,
everybody. Enjoy it.
I'll next week we'll break down the Sporting game and look ahead to Moreirense. See everybody. Later.